YouTube vlogger charged with child abuse.
Yeah, her lawyer says that she plans to take a plea deal next week as she turns on a mental health counselor who was also charged in this case.
Now, the statement paints Ruby Franke as a devoted mom in search of improvement. Her legal team says that Jodi Hildebrandt took advantage of the situation and, quote, twisted it into something heinous.
Franke's lawyers say the woman's time in jail has allowed her to reset her moral compass.
Okay, I know not my usual style of video, and I look so run down, but hello everyone, my name is Jessica, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I do commentary, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but right now, in the hospital, my daughter just had surgery. But anyways, I have to comment on this because I have been covering it since the very beginning, so let's just hop into today's video. That's not, just deal with how I look.
Because the alleged facts of the ongoing case involving Jodi Hildebrandt are intertwined with this case, our office will not be making additional statements to the media at this time. For further information, we refer you to the pleading document in support of guilty plea and the factual basis and the plea terms in that.
What are the plea terms? Just basically.
But the plea terms are relatively simple. She pled guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. The state agreed to dismiss the 2 other counts of child abuse. And she agreed to serve a prison term, and that the term for the 4 different counts will run consecutively and not concurrently. And she agrees, I'll read this one verbatim. She agrees to testify truthfully against Jodi Hildebrandt, and in return the Washington County Attorney's Office agrees to remain neutral regarding future hearings before the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole.
And how long is the plea? How long is she serving those sentences?
So those sentences, each count is a 1 to 15 year term, but under the Utah sentencing guidelines, that's all flexible and up to the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole.
Will they know that more in February during her sentencing?
No. So in February she'll be sentenced, and then the Board of Pardon and Parole will hold a review hearing, and that typically happens about 6 months after people go to prison. And at that point, they set the date for the next review hearing, but that's all up to them and how they handle that.
Any time served count towards that?
Typically, almost always time served counts towards stuff.
Okay, so Ruby Franke, as we've all seen, she pled guilty to the second degree charges of her 4 out of her 6 original charges. They dropped 2 of them. Don't know why they haven't shared which ones have been dropped. I mean, maybe by now when I post this, it could have been shared already. But she has pled guilty to second degree, which I am no lawyer, but second degree would show that there wasn't intent. Now, me personally, sorry, I don't have my usual mic. Me personally, I feel like this could be up for debate because look at all the passengers stuff, right? Look at how she treated her children beforehand. I feel like this might show that there was some intent, but obviously the reason why they struck a deal with her is so that they could get Jodi down. You know, the big whale, get her down. She has other victims, as we know. We know that Adam Steed, we know Jodi Hildebrandt. Those are all 2 victims that have come out and spoken out against Jodi. So they want to get her down. So we know that this happens in a ton of cases where in order to get someone down, they have to have someone's testimony and they have to have a plea bargain. There has to be something in it for Ruby to get Jodi down. Now, it also said that she's going to testify. So if she's going to testify, I think that Jodi is going to have this go to court. This is my suspicion because I feel like Jodi has too much of an ego. I've known from researching her, I will highly doubt she'll just take a plea deal. She is not that type. That's just my personal assumption. I'm holding nail covers in my mask. I have looked it up. There's been no court date. They're probably waiting to see what happened here with Ruby's waiver hearing. But I suspect that she's going to go to a preliminary hearing and she's going to go to trial perhaps. And this will be great for the internet to see everything. Sorry, I also have my pimple patches on. Like I said, this is not my usual setup. If you watch my other videos, you know my quality is, pretty good for a small YouTuber. So anyways, I believe this is showing us that this is possibly going to go to trial. I think, like I've already said, Jodi has too much of an ego. What it said at the beginning of the video, I do not buy that Ruby has had some massive change of heart. I think, you hear about people okay, I have my own opinion. You don't have to believe what I believe, but people go to prison and then they're just like, I found God, and they come out and they do the same shit. I don't buy it. I don't buy that I've changed. I've realized all my ways through spending time in prison. I don't believe it. I can see what happens. She gets out eventually, and also we see that there's 4 charges. She could spend anywhere from 1 to 15 years. It better not be 1 year. Her lawyer is good with expungement. He specializes in that. I looked up her lawyer. He also is in the same area as, in like the courthouse area as Douglas Terry, who is Jodi's lawyer. So they're all in that vicinity together, and he's been a lawyer for a really long time. Expungement is like sealing of records and stuff like that, which I'm assuming they're going to do with Ruby's records, especially because the children are involved. But this is very interesting to me that, like, she turned on her. You know, it's just like it's predictable, honestly. But I thought that perhaps Jodi would have already had her court date booked, but she doesn't have it booked. So this is why I suspect she could be going to trial, especially because she's going to testify against her. I know you don't have to just testify in trial, but yeah, I just really doubt it. I mean, it doesn't mean it won't happen. I'm probably wrong, but this is just my personal assumption with this.
Seated. Court is now back in session.
Good morning. Welcome to District Court. We're here in the matter of State of Utah versus Franke, case number 231501764. Mr. Winward is here representing Ms. Franke. Let's bring her out. And Mr. Clark and Mr. Sham are here representing the State of Utah. Ms. Franke. Here. Mr. Winward, we are scheduled for a waiver hearing. Is there going to be a waiver today?
There will, plus a plea agreement, Your Honor.
All right.
I'll ask the bailiff to hand you if it's been executed.
All right. Mr. Winward, you have discussed with Ms. Franke a preliminary hearing, what's involved in a preliminary hearing. She understands she has a right to a preliminary hearing on all of the charges in the case. She understands what the charges are, and she's prepared to waive a preliminary hearing in the case on all charges.
She is, and that is contained in this agreement on page 7 as well.
Very good. All right. I've been handed a plea agreement, and it appears to be signed by Ms. Franke. Ms. Franke, did you sign this agreement?
Yes.
And you did that today? When did you sign it?
The 18th.
Okay. You've read it carefully?
Every word.
Your signature represents to the court that you've read it carefully, that you understand what you've read, and that you agree to all of the terms. Is that all accurate?
Yes.
You've had sufficient time to ask questions of your counsel, to go over any questions you have. You're ready to go forward.
Yes.
You don't need any more time.
I'm ready.
Ms. Franke, is anyone pressuring you to enter into this agreement?
No.
Anyone promising you anything I haven't been told about?
No.
Anything that's not in the written plea agreement?
No.
Are you under the influence of alcohol or drugs today?
No.
Is there anything today that could in any way interfere with your ability to understand the agreement, its consequences, anything?
No.
No physical condition, no medication, nothing?
No.
Any further record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Winward, we ready to proceed?
We are ready to proceed.
All right, then. Ms. Franke, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
So the only thing that I want to say about this waiver hearing thing that we just watched is that she could have said more. In my opinion, she could have been like, I'm remorseful of my children. Like, she said a tiny little thing, but she could have been like, I'm deeply regretful. I should have never did this. I should have never moved there to Jodi's house. Like, all this stuff. She could have said so much more, you know? Her silence says a lot, in my personal opinion. What do you guys think? Do you think Ruby's I'm frustrated because I'm a mom, okay? And a human, a good human, who would not do this to anybody. So I think she should have been a lot more remorseful. This is why I don't believe that she's changed. And jail. This is just my personal opinion.
There is a factual basis set forth in the agreement that is a stipulated factual basis, counsel.
That's correct, Your Honor. That is correct, Judge Walton.
The court finds that the factual basis is sufficient. All of the terms of the agreement are stipulated, including that the court obtain a pre-sentence investigation report, correct?
Correct.
There won't be any argument about whether prison is the appropriate sentence, and there's an agreement about the 4 counts running consecutive.
That is correct.
All right. The court finds then that Ms. Franke's pleas are made knowingly and voluntarily. The court therefore accepts and enters those pleas. The court orders the preparation of a pre-sentence investigation report to be prepared by AP&P and the Department of Corrections. Counsel, what about sentencing on February 20th? I think, do you and your client agree to waive time, counsel?
We do agree to waive time, Your Honor.
February 20th, I believe, is a Tuesday. Is that right? – 10 a.m.?
That works for us, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else for today?
Your Honor, maybe, I've heard the court say this several times in a different fashion. We are not binding the court to any specific sentence, and the court retains its right to sentence as it sees fit. I just mentioned that this is not a Rule 11 plea, but although it's a stipulated statement of defendant.
Counsel, approach, please. All right, anything else for today?
No, Judge. Nothing from the state. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. We are in recess.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's basically all I have for today's video. Short and sweet. Like I said, if you've never watched my channel before, this is not my usual setup. I do a lot better in my personal opinion, but we're not going to be able to get good content, visually appealing, amazing audio until towards the end of December. It looks like we're going to be in the hospital over Christmas, which is unfortunate, but I'd rather be close to the surgeon who did her surgery. Thankfully, she is out of the ICU. My daughter, if you don't know, I've already shared why I'm in the hospital. She's just like a newly turned 1-year-old who had surgery, and we're working on her feeds, and you know, the surgery was 3 hours. It went really well, so I really appreciate all the prayers and everything. All these like case updates I see like almost right away, but I just can't comment on because I am solo here in the hospital with my daughter, and my he's also here on the trip with our toddler, but they're not staying in the hospital with us, so it's really stressful. I could have done my makeup, but actually I don't really think I even could have. I can barely take care of myself because sorry, I'm watching my daughter. I can barely use the washroom because like it's just like solo here, you know, it's just like very hard. So as you can see, I'm looking like 1,000 times at her, making sure she's okay. Anyways, I hope wherever you guys are having a fantastic day. Bye guys.